welcome back to my channel. My name is Aireonna, joined by the wonderful Tom Jensen. Hi Tom, how are you doing?
Hi Ashley, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to recap what's happened so far in training camp with you. Day 6 just ended today. Although I try to call it, it's like technically day 5 because day 1 was just like they just reported and didn't actually practice. But they've officially completed their first 2 practices with pads on. So we're definitely going to get into that and all the updates of who was there, who wasn't there, and the highlights and lowlights, let's say, of what happened. And then I'd love to go over an article that you, I think, are putting out in the next couple days on.
It'll be out later this afternoon. It's
Later
supposed to
today.
be posted in a few minutes, actually.
Perfect. So we're giving you guys a sneak peek of the great Tom and his article. But before we get into that, has anyone ever tried a caramel frappuccino with whipped cream blended in, extra caramel on the bottom of the cup, caramel and whipped cream blended in, caramel and whipped cream on top? Because when I was like 12 years old, I used to get that all the time. I was sipping out of this Starbucks water cup, and then I was trying to assure Tom that I hadn't actually bought anything from Starbucks because of the boycott. But I also just don't drink coffee, so it wasn't like a hard thing for me to start boycotting because I already wasn't. But when I was 12, 14, I would mess one of those up. We'd get out of middle school, walk down to Pee Wee Cheer, and we would just stand there and ruin a barista's day. Like that order never, but somehow I made it out without having diabetes. Still love caramel, still love a lot of sugar. Just threw my phone on the ground, so that's good. But we'll get into 49ers news. What I think is the most important to come out of today is first round pick 11 overall, Mykel Williams. Really important for the 49ers to hit on this first round pick because I don't know. I think they're like 1 of 6 hitting on their first, like out of all the drafts they've had with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, their first round picks more often than not do not work out. I don't know if you get credit for Nick Bosa. That was kind of a surefire choice here.
Monkeys could have picked Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Mykel,
that wasn't hard.
To give credit where it's due, Mykel has so far looked really great in camp. Although something that I found interesting was because I went to the first padded practice, but he had been going up against the first string team before the pads came on, and then day 1 padded practice, interestingly enough, they put him against the second team, which doesn't necessarily mean like he's bad, but it did in my head. Like, I think it's important to note, maybe there's something Kyle and Robert Saleh both said, that they try to almost refrain from like screaming at a player during practice because you're looking at so many things, you might not totally see something. So they're filming the whole thing and then they go back and they rewatch everything after. Okay. And when I saw that Mykel Williams had kind of been demoted to working with the second stringers, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's something on the film where they were like, we want to ease him into going against the first stringers once the pads come on. But I was excited to see, because it's possible that I was just wrong and they're just rotating, and that today he was going to be working with the first string. The reporters went out. They noticed Mykel Williams wasn't out there. They didn't get any heads up about that. So they ended up asking the PR director, where's the first round pick? He said, I don't know. Then had to go check. It's an ankle injury. So he's out supposedly with a minor ankle injury. I'll learn English a different day. 2 ways this can go. It could be a total minor ankle injury. He could be practicing after the off day tomorrow or later on this week. A lot of times you can just twist it and it's not a big deal. No reason to push yourself, in the beginning of camp when they want you to be healthy later on. Where I get nervous is he did suffer an ankle injury in college and it really affected him his final year with Georgia. And, I think they maybe were purposely being a little vague and didn't say which ankle it was, or, they did not confirm or deny if it was the same ankle that he had already had injuries on. Are you worried about this, Tom?
A little, just because he was playing on an ankle injury throughout his his season last year at Georgia, that he was playing hurt most of the year. And so if it is the same ankle, then that shows that it still can't handle a number of stacked days. Now, I love what we've heard in terms of what Williams has been able to do, beating Purdy one-on-one and playing really well as an interior pass rusher when he moves inside on third. So he's played well. It's just that an ankle injury for Mykel is a real concern. Just given his last year at Georgia was all about that ankle injury, and it hurt his production.
I agree. So then not only was Mykel out, but Juwan Jennings still out with that calf injury. And we haven't gotten a return timeline for him, which makes me nervous. I was, you know me, Tom, we haven't talked in the last couple of days. I try to be optimistic. So I was like, I had a conspiracy theory hat on. And I was like, maybe his ankle or his calf isn't really hurt and they're about to extend him and, he's going to come out with the pads on and a new contract announced and we'll just be taking out because of that. But then he hasn't showed up in like 3 days. So I do think it is a calf injury. Clay Kubiak said, that they're just trying to make sure to handle it correctly. It was bothering him in mini camp earlier this offseason. It sucks that there's so many soft tissue injuries going on. So wide receiver position is looking a little bleak in my opinion, but
it is, but just give it time. If there was a time for small injuries to hit, it's now, because you got enough time to recover before you get to the exhibition game starting up. No, I'm only concerned if we don't see them play at all. That's my worry. Sorry about the sirens. I'm on Siren Alley in Seattle. I live next to 2 hospitals, so there's a lot of siren noise. Okay.
Don't worry, I didn't hear it.
I hear him. I'm glad nobody else does.
You're like, they haunt me in my dreams. Sorry.
Maybe loud.
It's not funny. Last night, this is really off topic. Last night I like to go for a little after dinner walk. And I was going for a little after dinner walk, and like I'm in a very safe neighborhood and it wasn't like super late or anything. It was like 10 or something. And I just like walk in the, where all my neighbors are. I know everything. Most of the time I like feel totally fine. Also, for anyone watching that's being scary, I carry pepper spray now. But a car like at the end of my walk was like driving and like they did like a little U-turn, and I just, when something in your brain is like just thinks that something's scary even if it's not. Tom, I just started like
shadows
sprinting down the road to my door, and then I was like, because I was like, they're coming to kill me, and I don't know why my brain did that. Like, I see people like walking their dogs. Anyways, I like looked out of my little door thing, and they just had parked their car, and then my neighbors like came out and like it was clearly a friend that was visiting because they were like unloading their car, and I was like, I probably just gave them a heart attack because like they like turned around and all of a sudden I'm like, wah!
Yeah. Well, but I still think it's a good idea for you to have pepper spray just to be safe, just in case. But yeah, I used to do that all the time. As my quick Niner walking story, I used to walk when I lived in Palo Alto. And I would walk in the neighborhoods in Palo Alto, and you never saw so many Volvos in your life. Anyway, so I'm walking along, and it turns out there's this gigantic redwood tree in the front yard of a house.
Okay.
And it's Carmen Policy's house.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was really cool.
That is really cool. That's really cool.
Carmen wasn't out there, but there's a little bench next to the redwood tree, and it's gigantic. It's like you're
Palo Alto it has some like really
you're in Muir Woods or something, and then boom, there's this giant redwood tree. Is it okay? But it was cool. But that was my standard walk. I would always walk at night, Palo Alto, San Diego, wherever.
I love walking at night. I think maybe it's that because I know you're from San Diego, or like lived out there, and I think I really picked up this habit. My parents are both very active. So maybe just from them, but also when I lived in Southern California, it's always like really hot out in the day, especially in summer, and it kind of cools down at night. And I feel like we would go out and, eat with friends or whatever, and then walk home. So I just got in that habit and then moved back to Sonoma County after, a while of living in Southern California and really safe, like Santa Barbara, slow, really safe areas. And then in Sonoma County, really safe areas. And I live in Oakland now, which there's a lot of areas that I would not walk around at night, but I live in the hills. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, we're going to get back to
Yeah.
actual
Back to the Niners.
stuff.
Sorry for the detour, you guys.
But don't worry,
But
you
yeah,
guys,
for
we're
the injuries,
getting
I
good
think
rest and being
yeah.
safe.
I think the key
Um,
for the Niners is just be patient and be cautious, especially with Mykel Williams, given the importance that he's going to have in this team. Give him all the time he needs to recover fully. Juwan Jennings, same thing. It's just there's no pressing reason to put them back on the field. Just be patient, let the process play out, let them heal.
yes. So Jennings out, be patient. Now, maybe what you just said, like trying to ease players back in and not, get them re-injured. Ricky Pearsall also didn't practice today. He went through one full practice. Then yesterday practiced half the day, half of the um one-on-ones or half of the 11 on 11s, none of the one-on-ones. And then today he had a rest day. Obviously they were, extra careful, just ramping him up to even get him to participate in practice at all. I don't think it has anything. He didn't like re-injure himself or anything, but at some point he's going to be able to need to, participate in games every single week and practices during that week. And his body is going to have the, uh, be able to keep up with that, and we haven't seen that availability from him yet.
No. And that's the thing with Ricky is the biggest question with him is his reliability and his availability. And so if you need these extra days to recover from a day and a half of practice, you're not physically healed yet.
Yeah.
And so they can try to baby him through and just have him play 2 days on, 2 days off and see how his body responds. But it worries me that Pearsall is needing this time.
I
That
agree.
it shows that he's not 100% yet.
Yeah, and you obviously want them. You'd like rather them err on the side of caution, but at some point, it's like you have to kind of get your body used to that level of
Yeah.
attrition. And once the season starts, you can't just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna, sit out this game." Like you have to, and
They're going to need him.
when Ricky is on
He
the
has to
field,
play.
when Ricky is on the field so far, he's looked really great. He's had a good connection with
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. They're utilizing him in a lot of those like over the middle routes, but we have seen him like run down the sideline a little bit. His speed is obviously not like his main thing, but they've been creative with him and he's caught the ball when he's been targeted. He's just not out there consistently. Aside from those players not being out there, like I said, I gave you the reason. Mykel, it's a ankle. Juwan Jennings, calf. Ricky Pearsall, hamstring that could be healed and they're being safe with. Deommodore Lenoir was also not out there, and they didn't give a reason why, which is a little bit frustrating. So could be personal and he could be totally fine, or we have another injury and that makes it scary. So hopefully it's not that.
This is a tough time of the year for Warrior Warts. Oh no, they're injured. Just let it go, let it go. And so let's just see what happens. But yeah, it's with Pearsall, the concern is just that if he gets hurt or needs rest after only a day and a half of practice, that is a red flag. But you've got the time now to let him heal. So okay, let's see him heal. If he can't play with only 1 day rest, then I'm worried. And he hasn't shown or proven that he can be consistently available. And that's the main question with him.
Yeah. Moving on from who was not out there and why, there was some standouts of today's practice, and some of these, string along practice, they've just been kind of highlighted throughout both days of padded practice or throughout all of the offseason. Nick Bosa has looked really dominant, although not Mykel, Colton McKivitz did beat him on one single rep. Now, they went against each other like 4 times. They had a little bit of banter back and forth. Colt McKivitz wanted to go again. And McKivitz did beat him. They did go one more time because then I think Nick Bosa got his pride a little, and he put him in his place. But Bosa has really stood out. Bryce Huff next to him has consistently been playing really well. He looks the part. Like I think that they're gonna. I feel like he's going under talked about because he's not like a draft pick. He's just the guy they went out and got in free agency. But I think Nick Bosa and Bryce Huff complement each other really well. And when I
Yeah.
was there, Bryce Huff looked really like he was like winning his reps. He looked strong and powerful and totally fit next to Bosa. So he stood out. And then speaking of the rookies, a guy who's been getting a lot of praise for the last 2 days. It's interesting, like once they put on pads and like really start playing with a little bit more force, I feel like certain people shine more and certain people kind of fall to the backside. So Mykel Williams was really the talk of the beginning of camp, but since the pads have been on, CJ West has looked very dominant. He won against Purdy and against Nick Mykel yesterday. Today he was going against Drew. I don't know
Moss.
his name. Drew Moss. But people have had a lot of praise for CJ West. How did you feel about when they drafted CJ West? I feel like
I
really
loved the
excited.
pick.
Yeah.
Coach and I were doing cartwheels after they picked CJ West. We loved that pick. That was
Why did he go so late?
Arguably, that was our favorite pick. He's got some question marks. Yeah.
And he gets
he's a
lost.
powerful player. He's powerful. He's versatile.
Collins, I hate to. We're talking about CJ West, so we can focus on him. But this is information from when I was there. Alfred Collins has trouble getting low. He's a really big guy, but his pad level is not where it needs to be. CJ West does not have that problem. He is dominant.
CJ West is technically sound. It's just as much as Coach and I loved the CJ West pick, we hated the Alfred Collins pick. That's part of why. He plays too high. He has no pass rush moves. He's a 2-down player. He's the boulder to stop the run only. And that's an issue. If your second round pick is only playing 2 downs, I have to question that. But I get why they did it. We really need the boulder to stop the run. Okay, you got your boulder, but using a second rounder on a guy that only plays 2 downs is not something I like to see. But so be it. West is a complete ball player, and he plays with force. He plays with speed. He plays with intelligence, and having all of that is a load for teams to handle. He had a great combine, and I don't understand why he went as late as he did. I'm just glad that he fell to the Niners. Last year, yesterday, he went 5 for 5 on his one-on-one pass drills.
He's been super impactful. Would you say he's like a DJ Jones archetype, or is that like a bad?
DJ Jones is more of a run stuffer than a pass rusher.
Okay.
Where West is
actually good at rushing the passer, at least in the drills.
Right. So West is more versatile. I would say that DJ Jones is the better run stuffer and West is the better pass rusher. When you consider both elements of the game, I would rather have CJ West than DJ Jones.
Okay. Well, it's been really good seeing him. Now, I guess we do still have to see, do they do like team drills where they're, I guess, stopping the runner? I didn't see him. I guess we'll have to wait kind of till preseason to see how he really can fill in the run gaps in the running game. But yeah, against offensive linemen, he's really stood out. Like I had him right there with Nick Bosa and Bryce Huff as like
as standouts.
He looks like a vet when he's doing the drills. He does this thing where he'll like grab the guy, grab the guy, push him back, and then almost pull him forward. And when they pull, this happened to Dominic Purdy yesterday, he like pulled forward and like kind of fell because he does it so quickly. And that hand movement, I feel like Nick is like something that is really strong in Nick Bosa, like being able to like
Yeah.
have great technique and kind of get people off guard, even if those people are like bigger than you, just like you have such solid movements. And that was what was really impressive early on about CJOS, but it'll be interesting to see him. And then, yeah, Alfred Collins, all reports are that he's kind of been struggling. When I was there, I don't always know what I'm looking for, but I could tell compared to the other guys in his group that he was not getting as low when he was doing his drills. And I knew that
Yeah,
that was a
and then that's
problem.
hard for him. That's an issue he had at Texas. That's not something that's going to change overnight. The other
Okay.
thing to keep in mind with Alfred Collins is because he held out, he hasn't had as much practice time to get his body in football shape. And I
God,
question
is
if he's
second
in
round pick
football
went
shape
there.
yet. I don't think he is. So
Interesting.
let's not judge him so harshly now, just because he needs to ramp up first.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's so interesting. Like I feel like when it comes to like Ricky Pearsall, we're like constantly being like, oh, there's like a ramp up level. Like he just got, got back out there. But yeah, I didn't think about that with Alfred Collins. This is technically his first, football that we've seen him in this offseason.
Right.
Look at you, even though you're against the pick, you're like, you're giving him a little credit
I'll
there,
still
Tom.
help him a little bit when it's fair.
Then I feel like we should say that Brock Purdy did fairly well today.
Yeah.
I feel like he had the play. Everyone's saying he had the play of training camp so far with a 40-yard deep bomb to Watkins, which is exciting. Now Diamond Lenore was out, and they don't have the best secondary, but it apparently looked like a great pass. It didn't, float in the air too long. It zipped right in there. And Brock Purdy actually did really well at that. He
Yeah,
also
the
threw an
descriptions. I'm
interception.
sorry, Ashley. The
Go ahead.
the
Go ahead.
descriptions were great. That Watkins ran under the ball and it landed in his hands perfectly. So it was a
Love that.
perfectly thrown ball on a deep pattern. So that's a great sign for Brock.
And but the 49ers have wanted a speedy guy who can run down and catch a deep ball like that for
Yeah,
a while. They lacked that speed element even last year and the year before, even when they had were less injured and had a healthy team. They haven't had like just a speed guy. I feel like they've been looking for that in Gray, what's his name?
Danny Gray.
Danny Gray. Like they've been
Yeah,
looking for a small Jacob Cowing type. Jacob Cowing also injured, not out there. But yeah, very good to see it actually working out. Now hopefully we can, he can stay healthy, we can see it consistently and actually have it pay off in a game. But that's an exciting play that Brock Purdy was able to complete that
yeah.
so accurately.
Positive sign. Yeah.
Aside from that, maybe because it was the final of like 3 days in a row practicing, they have tomorrow off. The energy was like a little bit medium today. The practice that I went to was like, it was the first day of pads and they were like on crack.
Yeah, that's
They were like
intense. They're hitting.
so hyped up.
Yeah.
From all reports today, they were much less hyped up.
Yeah.
And kind of just trying to get out of practice healthy and have their rest day and
Yeah, because
hopefully
it's
come
a
back and hit it.
transition day. When it's before a rest day, there tends to be sort of a ramping down.
Yeah, just kind of mellow out, get through it.
Yeah.
So Brock Purdy was completing the majority of his passes. He had that really good throw to Watkins, but then he also had a line interception straight to a linebacker. He, got the ball, held on to it a little bit too long, was surveilling the field. To his credit, people are not getting open. He's not working with a ton of wide receiver talent out there. Although I would say the cornerbacks also aren't that good. So, I think it's a bit even because there's not a lot to throw
It's
to, but there's
second
not a lot
team.
covering them.
Right.
And then, but yeah, Brock Purdy ended up throwing an interception to the linebacker, Luke Grifford, who I hadn't heard of before, to be honest.
He's getting talked up as he might end up being the second linebacker, Luke Gifford.
Oh, really? I feel
Yeah.
like D. Winters has been getting all
I
that.
think Winters has played really well, but there were times when people talked up Gifford and said he's challenging for that. I don't think he'll get it. I think it'll go to D. Winters, but we'll see. But he's thought well of, so it's not just some guy. It's this is a guy that's going to make the roster.
He's in the competition.
Yeah.
I'd love to know that. I guess what I want to ask you is, do you think it's fair? Because I think it's okay to. Hmm, should I give you my opinion or should I ask you?
Yeah,
Do you
no,
think
no.
it's
Give your
fair?
opinion first. This is an opinion show.
Okay.
Talk.
Um, I want to say I think it's fair to criticize, not even to criticize. I like when I was there, I wanted to see who was completing passes, who was throwing interceptions, and when I'm not there, I like when reporters report that because but I want all the information around it. If you throw a pass and the wide receiver, it's right in his hands and he almost drops it and then catches it and throws it to the secondary player. And it's like, oh, Brock Purdy threw an interception. It's like, okay, well, that's not on him. I can take that information and say that's not Brock Purdy's fault. But
Okay.
when we've consistently seen Brock Purdy throw picks to a linebacker that he seemingly just does not see, which is something Jimmy Garoppolo used to struggle with in this offense,
Yeah.
and something that Brock Purdy did struggle with last season, especially at the end of the games. He was often kind of in a situation where he was holding on the ball too long. He felt the protection breaking down. Guys either weren't getting open or he couldn't see them, and he'd think that he had someone open, and right in his line of between him and the wide receiver he was trying to throw to, there would be a linebacker. In this case, he apparently threw the ball straight to Luke Grifford. So to me, that's on Brock Purdy, and it scares me that he's consistently making the same type of interception. I don't
That's my
think
issue.
it's okay ever because I feel like the pushback that I see when people report on interceptions in camp is, well, it's camp, it's not a game. This is when you should, try to make a riskier throw. This is when you should experiment. And to some extent, I can understand that. Like if you're trying to develop a connection with your wide receiver, and
Yeah.
let's say it's Kittle or Ricky Pearsall, and they're, kind of covered but kind of open. Maybe in a game you wouldn't make that throw. Okay, in camp, make that throw. See, like, can I trust this guy? Whereabouts should I throw it that he's more likely to catch it? I think in camp you can do experiments or learn from your interceptions in that way. But when you're just holding onto the ball and then stress because no one seems open and then seemingly don't see a linebacker that you're throwing the ball straight to, like I don't understand how you're growing or learning from that, especially when you do the same interception over and over. That's why I think it's fair to talk about these interceptions, but I have seen pushback that it's unfair. So I'd like to ask you, do you think these picks are concerning, and what do you
Yes.
take away from them?
I'm concerned for the same reason you are, that he's not learning from his mistakes. You're pressured and then you throw into double coverage. That's a lot of his picks. I want to see progression in his mindset to know I can't make that throw. I want to see proof that you're willing to throw it away, that you're not protecting your stats as Garoppolo did, where he refused to throw the ball away because he wanted the stats for completion percentage and his quarterback rating and all that stuff. I want Brock to just make the right decision, and the right decision is throw it away. And I want to see that. Now, it may be that Kyle has instructed him in the camp setting that don't throw the ball away, just put it up for grabs and let's see what people can do. That might be the case, but if this is just I want to see you play, I want to see proof of you learning that was a mistake and not
Yeah.
repeating it. And he's repeated that mistake. He repeated it all year last year.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say it's not
you
like just this
know
camp, but like last year this was an issue.
Right. You this leads to interceptions. You can't just thread the ball magically to your receiver and there won't be any negative problems from it. You can't do that. You can't assume that. So I want to see proof that he's learned. I want to see him throw it away. Literally.
Yeah.
I
Like
want to
it's
see you
totally
throw it
okay
away.
to
I
do
want to
that.
see you understand the best thing you can do for the team is to throw the ball away. I want
I
proof of
can
that. I'm not seeing that in games, and now I'm not seeing it in camp. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. And for people like I heard a stat, I think it was Grant said it. Last year in the fourth quarter at the end of the games, Brock Purdy has 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah,
Every year
there's
that
a lot that factors into that, but yeah.
yeah, because you're maybe taking more chances because then you're trying to
Right.
win. I do get that. every year that Brock Purdy has been a starter, his interception rate has gone up. Like his interception ratio from touchdowns to interceptions has gone up, meaning he's thrown more, like in a negative way. Like it should be going down.
Yeah, you would think if he's learning more, but his initial year as a starter was with Christian McCaffrey as the offensive player of the year, and so that's going to help his stats. So you have to factor in what's around him. But I want to see proof that he's learning. That's the main thing with me. And I'll go back to a story I've told before. The Niners under Walsh, they would have meetings with the offensive coordinator and Joe Montana on the plays where he threw interceptions. And they would go over it and say, was this Joe's fault or did it bounce off the receiver? Was it a deflection? Was it a lucky play? What was it? Whenever they concluded it was Joe's fault, they took the play out of the playbook. I think that's brilliant. And I would love to see the Niners do that with Brock.
Yeah. If we're going to force you to learn from your mistakes.
Really just if you keep repeating the mistake, we'll take the play away so that you don't. I think that's the way they might have to do this.
I agree. We have a super chat from Foot, which every time I really appreciate you, Foot, because you always send super chats, and I'm grateful for them. But every time that I have to read your name, I'm like, I feel like there has to be a better avatar. Interceptions in college, top of the league in dropped interceptions his first 2 years, 12 out of 20 last year. Multiple games last season with 3 interceptions, not relevant. I completely agree. I saw Nathaniel Hackett, which once again, I appreciate everyone in the chat kind of saying like, I don't think camp picks matter. The distinction that Tom and I are trying to make is there is a situation where maybe you could be right, where the camp pick is, like I said, him trying to build a connection or awareness or understanding of how much he can push it with his wide receiver or with, a triple covered George Kittle. Maybe in a game you wouldn't throw that, but like I'm gonna kind of stick it out in front of him and see like learning what chances that you can take. That's what practice is for. What we're saying is Brock isn't getting intercepted on those types of passes. He actually made a great pass today, that was completed. He's getting like the interception that he is throwing. It's not different every time. It's not, oh, today I'm going to, try to test him out a little more wide, or I'm going to throw to the back shoulder and I'm going to try to see, with which of my wide receivers that's a good throw to. He's throwing, he's getting the ball, holding it for upwards of 7 to 12 seconds, which is way too long.
Yeah.
And then throwing it straight to a linebacker when he needs to be able to learn to throw it away, live to the next play, get him next
right.
time.
Well, and though the other thing that I would say in Brock's defense is that in a game situation with that, he just would have taken off. He would have run. In a camp setting, he wouldn't. There's no point for him to run. But still, I'm still coming back to your main point. His mindset needs to be to learn from his past interceptions and say, where I've thrown picks in the past has been when I've been flushed out by the pass rush, I panic, and I throw the ball into double coverage, and it gets picked. What I want to see is he learns from that and throws the ball away. I haven't seen that in Garoppolo, and I don't see that enough in Brock. I want to see you understand that the best play you can make is throw it away. I don't want you to challenge. Now, in a camp setting, we don't know what instructions he has from Kyle. Kyle could be telling him, I don't want you throwing the ball away on any plays in this. I just want you to throw to receivers. Yeah. So we don't know. And it could be that Brock is challenging something. He wants to see something, and it's better to do that in the camp setting than a game. No, all understood. So we don't know the context of why the decision was made. There could be other reasons we don't know. But if this is a decision that's just on his own, just make a play, and he has the option to throw the ball away and doesn't, and it gets picked, that's something that's been a problem for you for years. Fix it. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I think that's why I find this concerning. If Brock Purdy had a really low touchdown to interception percentage in actual games, if he wasn't throwing this exact interception in games, I think I would be a lot more dismissive about it. I'd be like, okay, this is not something like, it's not a characteristic we see of Brock. So like clearly he's just trying something out. Why it worries me is like, I'm like, I wasn't at practice today, and I just read the tweet that like explained how he threw that, and I can think of 10 times where I've seen him do that in a game.
Right.
So that's why I do
That's
think
the
it's
concern.
relevant.
And that it's a
Uh,
perfectly legitimate concern. We want to see learning. We want to see you understand that you can't make that throw. It leads to too many picks.
yeah. Thank you, Nathan Hyatt, like
Thanks,
the
Nathan.
Hyatt that's the hotel that people sleep in. Look at me making connections. I appreciate the super sticker. Okay, so that was our topic on Brock Purdy. Like I said, he's he's the 49ers franchise quarterback. I think he's plenty good, but I do think it is fair to discuss what goes on, authentically in camp. You can say he had a really great throw, maybe the best throw that he's thrown all camp, and he had a boneheaded throw. And I like to hear both of those things.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh, no
want
doubt.
one side or the other. Uh, Tom has an article coming out that I'm pretty excited to read on Fan Nation later today. But the topic is kind of about how the 49ers, will win games next year or how they will lose games next year. Maybe Brock throwing interceptions would be one of the ways that they could
Could be.
lose. But Tom, do you want to intro your article a little bit? And could
Sure.
we talk about how the 49ers are going to win multiple games next year? Because
So
that's what I'm hoping for.
with this article, I was looking at situational football of just how are they going to win in this situation? What do they need to do in order to win games? And then taking that for defense, offense, special teams, how they win, how they lose. So it starts with the defense. And the key stat here is getting off the field on third down. And last year, the Niners ranked 27th in the league in third down conversion percentage against. So the defense stayed on the field and the defense got tired. And that's
Yeah.
why they had the problems of fading, where they gave up 2 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter in games last year. And
The
it's
defense would often hold up until the end, right?
right.
It felt
And
like
they
they would
would
always
fade late.
fumble.
And
Yeah.
part of the reason they did is because they couldn't get off the field on third. They couldn't close the deal. They couldn't get the sack or the key stop to get off the field and rest. And then that would catch up. The lack of depth would catch up in the fourth quarter. And then the defense would get worked late. And that's where they lost a lot of games. So this year, you've got the best front four they've had for a pass rush on third down since 2019. You've got Bosa, Mykel Williams when he moves inside, CJ West, who just went 5 for 5 on one-on-one drills, and Bryce Huff. And that's their best front four in 6 years. And if they get the job done, that sets up the rest of the team, because now you set up field position, you set up your offense to have a shorter field to work with, and your defense gets rest and you can close games. Because it's not just that the defense is factored by them not finishing, is that the offense doesn't have enough opportunities because the defense doesn't get stops. And so the offense was 24th in the league in fourth quarter scoring. And a lot of reason for that was the defense got marched on late.
Just not even on the field. Got it.
Getting these third down stops is vital to the entire team. And I think that's one of the ways they can win.
And you think do you hypothesize? Are you optimistic? I'm an optimistic person.
Yeah, I'm optimistic on this one. Yeah, because
with the
I
defensive
know that
line?
Mykel can rush inside. I know that CJ West can. I've seen both of them do it really well in college. I know that Huff, when he's in a solid system, is really effective in a wide nine. We've seen proof of that. And Bosa's playing well. So I think that this is, in many ways, the strength of the team and how they're going to win games they lost last year because they get off the field on third.
I love that, Tom. Now, how are they going to win using offense if they need to? I've heard this narrative that the 49ers defense is probably going to start slower because they're rookies and they might have to take their lumps to, start cultivating an understanding of each other. And then by the time they're kind of meshing, hopefully the offense is like kept them afloat. Now, what I would say, just from I only went to one, open practice, but beat reporters have kind of confirmed this. maybe I'll be wrong. I'm actually optimistic that it won't actually take the defensive line that much time to start gelling, or even if they're not like fully in a flow, Robert Saleh will be able to utilize them enough that it's impactful even before they've totally meshed. So maybe the offense won't have to, be the strong point, because that's actually the side of the ball that I'm most nervous about. But maybe you
Yeah.
have a way
No,
in which.
I agree with that. I think the defense is going to lead the way for them. And yes, the rookies are going to have some growing pains, and there's some young guys. So D Winters will have some growing pains if he becomes the second linebacker. I'm far more concerned about the secondary than the D line. I think the D line will be fine. I think the rookies will do well. It's the secondary that worries me. So moving on, then offense, how they win. I think higher efficiency because they no longer have Debo and because they added Luke Farrell. And Kittle spoke to this of just how they can benefit from not having Debo, and that's Kyle not force feeding. And
Yeah,
that makes the offense a lot more unpredictable, and it allows Brock to spread the ball out more, distribute more as the point guard of the team, and it makes them more efficient. You've got more targets the defense has to worry about. You're going to be throwing to Kittle more often because now he's got a blocking tight end behind him, so he'll have more energy. You can use
yeah,
Kittle more in the red zone, and you also, because of Farrell, get more balance left right, and that makes you less predictable that way too. Because right now they're a left-handed running team behind Trent. If you add Farrell as a blocking tight end on the right side, now you've got more left-right balance.
strength.
Now the defense is guessing more, and I think that's going to be a key to this season on offense. Is not having Debo is going to help them because Kyle is no longer going to force feed him inefficiently because Debo has bad hands or his athleticism is declining,
Yeah,
or whatever's going on. It's the touches that used to go to Debo will go to players who are more efficient in producing plays.
I agree. I feel like when that trade was announced, we kind of said that we anticipated it might be addition by subtraction. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see Kittle being utilized more in the passing game. Something that I had left out, but from the day that I had went to practice, Isaac Renda was catching a lot of passes. They were using him
Yeah.
as a pass catcher, which I think you've kind of
Well, they should. He
uh,
played receiver at
you
Louisville.
had talked to me about it before, but
Right.
I hadn't, seen him used that much. But he was like, if you would have gone and once again, they're very low on wide receivers, but he was like basically doing the wide receiver drills, and when they were going against each other, he was almost fully used when I saw him. To be fair, they're kind of far away, in the passing game, which was
Yeah,
interesting.
and that's where he'll need to be utilized. Is
But
Garendo is
Isaac
going to
Renda,
be in some ways, he's going to be the Debo replacement. It's sort of Garendo, and if he gets snaps, Jordan Watkins are going to replace Debo. And I
got it.
think that's a good thing. The value that Debo had was once he had the ball in space, he could score. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a one play drive guy, and Garendo can do that too. So I think that using him the way they use CMC, where he just releases out of the backfield as a check down, can be a really effective play for them. Brock needs to go to the check down more often than he has, and I think that that's what they're going to use Garendo for this year, more so as a receiver than a running back.
I love it. Um, So I agree. I think that we pointed out, ways that the 49ers could win. Now, Tom, how could the 49ers lose a lot of games in 2025?
Well, just
We can start at
quickly
both
to
sides of the
touch on
ball.
one more win, it's the special
Oh,
teams that
tell,
you've
oh,
got.
good.
You've got Brant Boyer, you've got a new punter, maybe a new kicker, and a long snapper, and you've got somebody that
Hopefully.
knows how to teach a team how to cover, how to return. And so if the defense gets that third down stop where they get the 3 and out right away, and then the special teams deliver on their end, now the field position is even better because your special teams are actually good for once.
Yeah.
That's going to be another factor is the offense is going to have much shorter fields this year because of the defense on third down and because of Boyer and his special teams. So I
Yeah.
think that needs to be factored in too, is that they're going to be a lot better in coverage. Last year, they were last in the league in net punt yards, last. And that's a factor of the offense punting and then pinning a team down in the 20, but it's also poor coverage units.
Yeah.
And so I think Boyer is going to make a big difference there. On why they
You're
lose, going to the defense. My
you're
concern with
really
the
quickly
D.
though. You're
I'm sorry.
very
Go
right.
ahead, Ashley.
I was just saying really quickly though, you're so correct. Much like I just did, the special teams is often overlooked, but it was
Yeah.
hugely impactful. When we go down to how many games the 49ers lost by 3 points or how many games the 49ers kicker missed multiple kicks per game, it was definitely impactful. And that's not even taking into consideration, as you're saying, just not getting good field position, which they seemingly struggled with every single week. So I'm glad that you didn't let me skip over that. It is important,
It's
special
key.
teams. Yeah.
Boyer is going to make a big difference. And I think people are kind of sleeping on that because we're accustomed to just saying special teams, yeah, whatever, they suck. Yeah, this year, no. And that's going to be important.
And it could
Um,
be an edge for us, for the team, to
yeah, yeah.
actually
Well, if you get
have a strength
vastly
there.
improved field position for the offense and a deeper starting position for the opposing offense for the defense to work, yeah, half the battle is winning the field position game, and the special teams are going to play a key role in that. So why they lose? Defense. This is my hobby horse. One of the worst starting safety duos in the league to start the year because Mustafa's going to be out for the first 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And so they're going to be starting Jason Pinnock and probably Richie Grant.
Yeah.
We just
Now,
talked
Pinnock has
about.
looked good. I once again only went one day, but he stood up. He caught an interception the day that I was there.
Yeah. Well, so we just talked about that bomb that Jordan Watkins caught today. Who did he beat? Jason Pinnock. On
Oh.
that big throw.
Oh no.
On that big throw to Isaiah Nayor from a couple days ago, who did he beat? Jason Pinnock
Too
and
slow.
Richie Grant.
Not
So,
good.
the reason I'm picking Seattle in the opener is specifically because the safeties are going to suck out loud.
Okay.
And you've got Sam Darnold who can throw an accurate deep ball, and good receivers like Jackson Smith and Jigba.
They're going to
They're going to
target
work those safeties. The defensive line is going to have to get home because if they don't, Darnold can go to JSN and beat him. That's my biggest worry
That's
is that
scary. I can
these
see that.
these safeties deep are vulnerable. And the Niners are just saying, we don't need to sign Justin Simmons. It's just safety. Who cares? If you lose the Seattle game because of poor safety play, I care. Everybody should care, including the Niners. You had a chance to get a 4-time second team All Pro at safety, and you didn't sign him because of money. And then you lose your opener because your safeties are no good. I don't like that. And that's me. It's just they have to sign
Someone
Simmons.
just
Yeah.
asked you what's your take on the Justin's
Sign
signing
him. Yeah, the reason I think they haven't is because they're up against
money?
what the Yorks have done in creating a ceiling on spending. I think that they're at their ceiling and they're not willing to spend that much more. Signing Eli Apple as a DB when the available free agency DBs include Asante Samuel and Rasul Douglas tells me they're going cheap. Eli Apple isn't good. He gets beat a lot. And I'd
Yeah.
be surprised if he contributes. But the reason they signed him is because he's cheap. And so that tells me they're going cheap. That's
Yeah,
why.
it sucks when
But
you have a clear need, there's someone better available, and you go with a guy that
yeah. You've
I've
got to
only seen bad plays from.
right. So you've got guys that are getting beat by a UDFA and a 4th round rookie wide receiver in camp. And now you're going to go up against some good receivers in Seattle. I'm worried about that. So that's one. That's why they lose on defense. The safeties, especially when Mustafa is out, that's going to be a problem. On offense, it's what I call the sword of Damocles, where there's this Greek parable where a commoner is envious of a king, and the king says, "Okay, I'm going to show you what it's like to be me," and he holds up a sword, ties it with a single horsehair, and holds it above the guy's head all day. And you have to live with fear of that horsehair breaking, and sword comes down and kills you. In this case, the sword of Damocles for the Niners is CMC,
Yep, I
Trent
was saying
Williams,
Christian after.
George Kittle. If any one of those guys goes down, where's the plan B for the Niners? That's my concern there. That's, I think, the way they can lose is if they lose any one of those guys, they don't have a plan B.
Yeah. They
That's a
have to be
problem.
creative with Christian McCaffrey. They have the running back, Jordan James looked really good. Like I said, Isaac
Yeah,
Rendo, they
he's
maybe
going to
like
be critical.
even what's the undrafted running or the later round running back that they got?
Well, the UDFA is Corey Kiner
Yeah.
at running back.
There was him, Jordan James, and Isaac Rendo. I thought all three looked good. The day that I went, Christian McCaffrey had like a veteran rest day. So they were the only ones out there with Patrick Taylor too. I actually thought that Jordan James and the UDFA both looked really good. So I'm hoping that you can utilize those guys, going down through the tackles more, downhill through the tackles more, and save a little bit of Christian McCaffrey. But if Kyle can be creative, like we've seen him be, a couple, not in the maybe most recent seasons, but prior to getting Christian McCaffrey, I feel like he had more creativity when it came to Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert. I hope that he can make the most out of those, and his plan isn't just hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey every single play, because he
You
does
know
have
what his
talent.
plan is?
Yeah.
Hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey every play.
Got it.
Easy button,
Yeah.
easy button, easy button, easy button. That's Kyle.
Tom's like, great idea. That's not what
Yeah.
he's doing.
And the problem is that not only is Kyle predisposed to pushing the easy button, it's that Christian is going to be very motivated financially to have a big stat year because he's up for an extension again. So he's going to be like he was in his offensive player of the year, where I'm not coming off the field. He's going to want to compile his stats.
He's going to need to if he doesn't want to flare up that tendonitis again.
Right. But I don't think that either he or Kyle is thinking in those terms. They don't think beyond the play. They don't see the horizon. The horizon doesn't exist for them. So you're absolutely right. And you've said this every time we talk about this. Kyle needs to use a committee at running back this year to protect CMC from himself. And my fear is that neither one of them are willing to do it because CMC wants money and Kyle wants easy.
It sucks because the guys that they have do look promising now. So it's like, I can understand, like, you should never do that. But maybe if you feel like you have no other option, like a wide receiver, they're kind of like also have to, be creative. They're going to be throwing to Isaac Rendo, throwing to George Kittle, utilizing a lot of guys who aren't technically wide receivers, but who have hands. I want to see that same creativity that you have for your wide receivers at running back. And I feel like we've seen him do that way in the past with Jimmy Garoppolo, but we haven't seen it in a while. We've seen him really lock on to one guy, and I just hope that doesn't happen because I'm seeing guys that are there that are good.
Yeah, well, and it's just CMC, if healthy and if he still has a fourth gear, is somebody you're really going to need if you make the playoffs and have a good stretch run. So if you want to play well in December and then into January, you need a healthy Christian McCaffrey. But if Kyle doesn't manage that, if he doesn't load manage CMC, then I think it's going to end in injury. It's just they've got some long East Coast road trips late. They play on a bad surface in New York. Those are all things that can add into an injury risk that's just too high. But I don't have any faith in Kyle or McCaffrey saying that I need to save myself for the stretch run in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do it.
Hopefully you're wrong.
Money talks. Money talks.
You're being reasonable and you sound right, but I hope it's untrue. But I believe you, and I don't like it. What do they say? Like, if your initial instinct, like if you meet someone or hear about someone and you like immediately kind of like judge them or don't like them, it might be like they could either remind you of someone that you don't like, or it could remind you of like a part of yourself that you don't like. Like maybe you have a bad habit and you see that in someone else and you're like, oh, I hate that they do that. But really it's like, oh, I know that I could kind of be, that person's lazy, but really it's like, I know that there's parts of me that are lazy or whatever. Anyways, that's how I feel with this. I don't like what you're saying, but it's because I feel like it's true. It's like too close to home.
I hope it's not. I mean, the smart play seems obvious to me and to you, and to I would imagine the folks in the chat, that given his injury, it's going to get worse with usage, and therefore you have to load manage him or you're going to lose him.
Yeah.
And we saw what
Yeah,
happened last year when they lost him.
there's no choice, right?
Yeah. So, Julie B, thanks. I appreciate that. Um, and then
Um,
last one on why they lose, just
special
to
teams.
Kyle breaks his toys. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Um,
They keep Jake Moody.
yeah,
Tell me they're not gonna do that. What I will say, really quick, just from my own opinion, when I first heard Bryant Boyer talk, I felt like he was giving Jake Moody a lot of excuses. This was like way earlier on, like 2 months ago in the offseason. When I first heard him interview, I was kind of nervous. I was like, I feel like it's going to be a sham. It's not going to be a real competition. Like this guy seems to want Jake Moody. When so far, I think it's been a real competition. They literally will
yeah.
stop practice and have everyone turn and watch them kick to like simulate some pressure on Jake Moody, which I think
I
is,
thought that was smart.
yeah, I think that's smart, and they've done that every single day. They have them both make both he and Greg Joseph, they make the same, kicks from the same amount of yards. They do the same number of kicks every single day. It seems to be a real competition.
Yeah.
Um, so
And
that's
Boyer, I
one positive.
trust Boyer to be fair about it because it's his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can't
Yeah,
afford to have the kicker blow it. And so that's the last one on how they can lose is the special teams component is if Moody gets the job and they start shanking kicks. But because you have Boyer, now you can pull the plug on Moody if he shanks kicks in regular season games. And he'd just call up Joseph and say, okay, we need you. And Greg Joseph comes in and he replaces Moody just like that. That wouldn't happen last year. That happens now because
yeah,
Boyer is the special teams coach. So
got it.
that gives me some confidence too, is that that's something that normally would be a real concern for all of us is that Moody's going to win and then he's going to blow kicks. And it's just Boyer won't let that happen. He won't have to let that continue. He'll bring in Joseph. And if Joseph is signed somewhere else, he'll bring in somebody else. He's not going to keep Moody. Kyle was motivated to keep Moody because he picked him in the third round. Boyer is motivated for special teams to succeed. And that's a great development for the Niners.
I agree. Julie B says, "What do you think about Moody changing from a three-step approach to a two-step approach?" He talked about this when he was interviewed. Was that yesterday or
Yeah.
2 days ago? Um, I don't think it's good when you're starting to change your physical mechanics. Last year, it was suggested that Jake Moody do this, and he said no. He's been kicking the same way his whole life. He didn't think that it would make sense. And so now the fact that he's doing something that he previously said he didn't think would help improve shows me that he's desperate. And I don't think Jake Moody is missing kicks because he doesn't have a strong leg. He can kick the ball really far in practice. It's when the game is on the line or it's a pivotal moment. He feels to me, it's all mental for Jake Moody.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
to me, I
as it
want to
is for
hear
all kickers.
not that he's changing his kick, that he's like going to therapy, like learning how to tune things out, zone out, like get
Sure.
into a flow state where he can kind of clear the noise, all that type of stuff.
Right. So, we'll see. I think that he needs a psychologist more than a change in approach. But if he does, and if he has confidence in a two-step approach, okay. But by his own admission, going to a two-step approach has reduced the distance of his kicks. Yeah. And so does that make it even harder to keep someone like Moody? I mean, do you want Moody who's already shown that he can be shaky mentally? And now the whole reason you wanted him is because he can hit the long ball and now he can't because it's two steps? What have you gained?
Yeah.
And it also, my concern is it also shows that he's doubting himself, that I can't make this accurate with three steps, so I'm going to go to two. I mean, it's just, it already shows that it's in his head. And the moment it's in his head is where we all get worried that
Yeah.
leads to bad things. So we'll see. Yeah. If I had to predict, I think that Moody will win the competition and then lose it in the regular season, and Joseph will replace him.
I would love that. So you think like even if Jake Moody wins, he's not guaranteed the job. If he
Right.
proves in games he can't do it, it won't matter.
Yeah.
I like that because it
They'll
felt
pull
like
the plug on him right away because Boyer
last year
can't
they
afford
wouldn't,
it.
and that was frustrating. That
Right.
was frustrating.
Last year, Kyle wouldn't go there. Boyer will do that instantly. So
I
if they
that
have a
gives me
game that comes down to a Moody kick from 51 and he shanks it, and then they lose the game the next week because Moody missed a kick,
Yeah.
that's it. Boyer will pull the plug on him right away. And so I'm not worried about this factor. Fans are all worried about the kicker. Oh, what if it's Moody? And my whole point is, even if Moody fails, he'll be replaced within 2 weeks.
Agree.
So don't worry.
Eric Gomez said in season might be bad to try to change your kicking motion, but the off season might be the perfect timing. I think what Tom and I are saying is we don't think his issue was his kicking motion. But I understand that maybe he's doing it now because there's more time to practice and he can get in a rhythm and understand this. I just don't know if it's going to help because I don't think his problem has been his kicking his amount of steps that he's taking. Like he can.
I don't know enough about kicking to know if the mechanics are the issue or not. But I'm with you that I think the issue is between his ears, not on his legs.
Also, from all reports from all the reporters that are at practice so far this training camp, he hasn't been able to kick as far as he used to when he had his 3-step. So
and he's admitted that. He said that he's lost distance because he went to 2. And I wonder about that. I'm just saying the issue is we drafted you because of your leg. So what we want you to do is to get more accurate with your current mechanics, as opposed to getting more accurate by sacrificing distance. No. If you sacrifice distance, you're no longer, not that he ever was, you're no longer the 3rd round pick we wanted. We wanted a dominant kicker who could kick it from deep. And if you can't do that anymore because it's 2 steps, you've eliminated your value to us. You're no longer special. And I think that's an issue too. I think that's going to hurt him.
Niall, I don't know how to say his name, was in the comments being rude. Everyone can, I don't care if you're pro Kyle, I don't care if you're against Kyle, I don't care if you're pro Purdy, against Purdy. We're all 49er fans here. Be nice in the chat. That's all I have to say. Tom, aside from kicker, what could be some worries with the special teams? What could cause them to lose on special teams? Sorry, I feel like we really honed in on the kicker quite a bit.
It depends on who's going to be their returner, which is an issue. It could be Jacob Cowing, and if so, he's had fumble issues as a returner, and he hasn't done much as a returner. He doesn't take very many gambles. He just kind of gets out there. I would rather have a guy that's more reliable in terms of his hands and has some speed and is willing to take some smart risks. Hopefully Boyer can coach up the returner into those smart risks and say, here's what we're trying to do. And we'll see if that happens or not. But that's another issue where special teams can be a problem, is that who do they really have? They've got the guy from Montana they drafted who did well, but that's not big time college football at Montana. And getting touchdowns there is one thing. Getting touchdowns at Alabama is another. So we'll see. But that would be another concern that I have, is who's the returner and how reliable are his hands? Is he willing to take risks? Does he have the speed to win? All of those things. I mean, I was a Niner fan growing up, and I had Bruce Taylor, Dana McLemore, John Taylor, some of the best punt returners ever. And I got spoiled by those guys because what we've got now, it's not good. That they need somebody to step into that role and own it. They don't have it now. Oh, well. But still, special teams for the most part on balance, it's a positive, just because if Moody fails, he'll be replaced, and Boyer will coach up the coverage and the return units to be a much better team than they had last time. Last year they were a liability. This year they'll be a bonus.
If they're net neutral, I'll take it. If they're a bonus, that's really going to help the 49ers, especially when they are in, areas of the season where they might be taking their lumps, whether that's rookies developmentally or if it's injuries that pop up. Having an area of the field that could help them overcome some of offense or defensive weaknesses instead of, additionally bringing the team down will be a big improvement. Like, it's like I said, I literally overlooked special teams in this exact stream. People always overlook special teams. It becomes extremely important as Packer fans. They, didn't get
Yeah,
to. They would tell you it's
they'll tell you.
important. So I have a lot of faith in the new coaches that they brought in, Brent Boyer, Robert Saleh. And I've been really optimistic with a lot of the rookies that we've seen so far. So it's
Yeah,
been
me
a
too.
good
Been
couple
good
days
news.
of camp, and it's been
Hmm.
exciting to get to talk to you about. Aside from the soft tissue injuries, I really hope that they figure out what's going on with those. But it's early enough that, and they're, knock on wood, not serious enough injuries that they should be okay.
Yeah,
To
and they should be patient for something like this. Just use the time accordingly. Time is your asset right now. Use it. Let them sit. It's okay.
now,
Get
you guys
healthy.
have
Get
to
100%.
you have to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel
Yep.
because joint practices are happening in just like a week, I think, with the Broncos. And I'll be going to those a couple of, not every one of them, because I don't understand. I think you have to get season tickets because like the way that basically all the open practices were sold out by the time like a person who didn't have season tickets could buy them. So I was trying to buy them off other people. And then I love 49er fans, but they're like really upcharging. I think the 49ers were charging like $20 and other fans were like, how about 200? And I was like, to go to a practice, you insane person.
200.
Um, so
Money, money, money,
yeah.
money,
All that to
money.
say though, you gotta like and subscribe
Way,
because I am going to
way,
some of the
way too much
Broncos
greed in the world.
to the
Way,
Broncos
way too much.
49ers practice. I'll be giving you updates. Tomorrow's an off day, but if Mykel Williams is back on Thursday, that'll be important.
Yeah.
I also think on Thursday Kyle will talk, so we might get a more clear timeline on Juwan Jennings because since the news about Jennings has been announced, we haven't had an interview from Kyle, and he's the one that answers all the injury questions.
Right.
So I'll have much more updates on all that stuff. Starting, like I said, tomorrow's an off day, and then starting Thursday, lots of news. I've been doing a recap after every training camp so far, just because I feel like there's been a lot to talk about. It's been really fun to kind of have the season ramping back up. And also on Thursday night, they have the first preseason game. I think that they're usually kind of lame, but I did see that Trey Lance is playing, so maybe I'll keep a eye in the corner looking at it. A lot of times it's really bad football, but I feel like people are so starved for any football that they end up
Yeah.
really enjoying those games.
They'll take
So
what they can. Sure.
yeah. And then, like I said, a lot of what we talked about today with wins and losses and, reasons why we think the 49ers could struggle. And also, I know we ended it on that, but for people who tuned in at the very end, we had a whole section on why we think they're going to be much more improved and how we think they're going to win games, going into much more detail, using names, using strategies, pointing out the coaching. All that is going to be in Tom's article that's going to be out today. So make sure to follow him on Twitter, NinerCast. It'll be, on Sports Illustrated Fan Nation today. It might be up right now, to be
It
honest.
is. Should be.
See, you can go find it on Twitter right now. So follow me. I'll retweet it. Follow me here on YouTube. Follow Tom because it's always nice to have him. As you guys say, he's very thoughtful and more realistic and just brings a level of knowledge and information to this channel that I really greatly appreciate. Also,
Thanks,
kindness
Ashley.
and love and all
I
that. Like I
appreciate
just
that.
adore Tom, but you're also more, you're like an expert. So
I appreciate it, Ashley. It's very kind of you, and it's so much fun to be a part of this channel with you.
yeah.
We've grown together, and we do some good stuff here. And I like what we've done.
Whoop, whoop. Heck yeah. Okay, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a good Tuesday. Bye.